This is more than just a discovery of rare coins. It is a compelling mystery from desperate times over a century and a half ago. There are more than 700 rare U.S. gold coins dating from 1840 to 1862, and they've become one of the greatest coin collecting finds of the 21st century. Unearthed recently in a Kentucky cornfield, these coins are estimated at a value exceeding $2 million. An extremely rare find, as buried treasures go, rarer still to find them in such good condition.
You're listening to River City Mystery Podcast, the show that delves into the Evansville and surrounding tri-state areas mysteries, including unsolved crimes, murders, and disappearances. A show that isn't afraid to jump down the rabbit hole to investigate reports of local hauntings, sightings of UFOs and cryptids, among other paranormal phenomena. With your host, co-founder of the Humans of Evansville Facebook page, law office worker by day, insomniac researcher of the unknown by night, Matt Dyke. Welcome to episode 12. We're going to be talking about buried treasure in the tri-state. I don't typically think of buried treasure when I think of Southern Illinois, Southern Indiana, Western Kentucky. I think of more out west, prospectors going out west digging for gold, or pirates on a beach pulling out treasure chests or whatever. But it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have the FDIC insuring banks, so people didn't always trust banks with all of their money. Say there was a robbery at a bank prior to the FDIC, you lost your money. If if everything was taken out of the bank, you'd lose everything, unless you had a wealthy banker who wanted to, make up for everyone who had lost all of their deposits. So it wasn't uncommon for people to put everything under a mattress or to bury it in a field or somewhere safe, or somewhere where they thought was safe, versus depositing it into a bank. And if people did that and they passed away without telling anyone where they buried it, it's possible there are tons of valuables buried all over the place. And in the intro, you heard David Mattingly at a Wave News in Louisville, his report on the hoard that was found in a Kentucky cornfield in July of 2023. So very recently, as of this recording, these things are being found. It's just a matter of where are they, and doing a little research to figure out where they are, and obviously having permission to dig or to search on people's private property if that's where you think things are. And I'm not sure if that particular hoard was found locally, because the article went on, or his story went on to say that the person has not come forward, so they've remained anonymous, and also the location has remained undisclosed. So we just know that it's a Kentucky cornfield, which is pretty vague, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a local cornfield that this was found in. And so this got me thinking. I was wondering, are there stories of local buried treasure that, maybe not very far from where we are, there's buried gold or coins or silver or whatever. And as it turns out, there are quite a few stories of hidden treasure all over the tri-state. There's too many stories to actually go into each one, but there are tons. The Indiana State University website has a folklore archive that was started in the 60s, and basically they would take voice recordings of people telling stories or talk about family legends or things that they had heard throughout the generations that had been passed down to them. And these were transcribed and put on this archive on the website, which you can kind of search and look for various topics and things like that. So I came across a report or a transcription from a Lauren Drake, who was 70 years old, from Farmersburg, Indiana. And this was dated November 15th, 1987. And his report goes on to say, a long time ago, no one is sure of exactly when, a group of soldiers were moving across the Farmersburg area. They were moving a variety of items, one of which was gold. In fact, they had a whole wagon full of it. Well, as they were moving this gold, a report came to the head officer that there would be trouble ahead. The officer figured that bandits wanted the gold. The officer decided to hide the gold and come back for it later after taking care of the bandits. The soldiers then buried the gold in a hidden place near the wagon trail. Then they left. When they finally reached the bandits, all the soldiers were killed and didn't tell where the gold was. Now no one knows where it's hidden. It's hidden somewhere in the area near Channel 38 TV tower because there used to be an old dirt road running east and west there. And that's the end of the report. The skeptic in me immediately jumps in and says, well, how, if all of the soldiers were killed, how do they know that they buried the treasure before finding the bandits, because they were all dead and no one was alive to tell that story, unless you have a ridiculously long death scene where the soldier spills his guts as he's being killed by a bandit and saying, we buried the treasure and you're never going to find it. And the bandits, of course, again, the skeptic in me knows that the bandits, if they actually were told that, probably would not have stopped searching for the gold until they found it. So, I don't know. That's how my head works. But you never know. Maybe they looked for it and couldn't find it. Maybe it was buried so well that the bandits never did find it. So I did some searching, and the Channel 38 TV tower is still there, actually off of Highway 41 near Farmersburg. And I found a map from the 1870s, and that area where the TV tower now is did have some dirt roads, or I guess all the roads at that time were dirt paths. So there were dirt paths in that area going east to west. So it does make you wonder if maybe there's some truth to this, that maybe there is some buried gold or coins or something along the way in just south of Farmersburg. Now, in southern Illinois, we have a little village called Cave-In Rock, and that area has quite a history. There's all kinds of lore of pirates and robbers and serial killers. Actually, the first serial killers in the United States, the Harp brothers, and one of the more infamous outlaws that was tied to Cave-In Rock was a Revolutionary War soldier named Samuel Mason. He formed a gang of river pirates and made the cave at Cave-In Rock actually, it used to be called Rock and Cave, but now it's called Cave-In Rock. But he made that cave his base of operations. And that cave was a tavern and kind of a hideout and basically just full of lawlessness and kind of bad people, notorious figures. And legend has it that there is $200,000 in gold and silver coins somewhere in that area. It's said to have been buried by stagecoach outlaws. It was reported that the treasure was hidden inside a cave located near the western bank of the Ohio River, close to the town. Staying in southern Illinois, we have stories of treasure in Golconda, Illinois. It's believed that along the western banks of the Ohio River near Golconda, there are hundreds of American silver dollars from the 1800s. And it's believed that these coins might be from a wrecked riverboat that went down in the Ohio River. But that's an unconfirmed story. That's another story that, it's lore or legend or whatever, and not confirmed, but these stories are out there. And a lot of times stories might get embellished over the years, but sometimes there's often some sort of element of truth to these stories. Like something might have happened a long time ago and it's turned into this massive, treasure trove that's hidden somewhere, but maybe there was a boat that went down that had some money on it or whatever. And over the years, it just kind of developed into this lore. I had mentioned the Harp brothers earlier, America's first serial killers. They hung out in Cave-In Rock for a while, but towards the end of their serial killing spree, they ended up just outside of Henderson, Kentucky, in the Dixon, Kentucky area, which is about 10 miles south of Henderson. And they were actually Micah Harp and Wiley Harp. They were known as these serial killing brothers, but they were more likely first cousins, according to what I've read. They were known as Big Harp and Little Harp. And over the course of 9 years, they supposedly killed 39 people, but maybe up to 50, just depends on what reports you're reading. And they also not only murdered people, but they stole from them. So they kind of amassed a small fortune over that 9-year period. And towards the end of their murder spree. They left Illinois and they ended up near Henderson, Kentucky, and they killed a mother and child outside of Henderson. The people of Henderson ended up chasing Big Harp and shot and killed him. And they cut his head off and displayed it as a warning to other outlaws. And apparently Little Harp met the same fate. And apparently just north of, a couple miles north of Dixon, Kentucky, there's a road still known as Harp's Head Road, which is kind of morbid, but I'm guessing that kind of left an imprint on those people. And it's rumored that they had amassed gold coins amounting to about $300,000. And no one really knows where they might have hidden that. Some maybe near Cave in Rock, Illinois, but they ended up outside of Kentucky near Dixon, Kentucky. So it might make sense that they brought that with them. So there are rumors that the hoard was buried in a cave near Dixon, Kentucky, about 10 miles south of Henderson, like I said. And it's said that the cave rests above a stream near Harp's Head Road. Who knows? Maybe someday somebody's going to be metal detecting and will come across a giant hoard of gold coins from America's first serial killers. And I know I haven't gone into every single report of buried treasure in the tri-state. I just hit on the stories that piqued my interest. There are tons of stories of riverboats sinking in the Ohio River along Henderson or Evansville in southern Illinois. And every time it floods, they say that coins wash ashore, kind of sparking more interest in these legends. And I have no doubt that there's buried treasure in the tri-state and sunken treasure in the Ohio River and creeks and just everywhere. It's just a matter of finding it. Look, the last month alone, in July of 2023, they found 700 gold coins in a Kentucky cornfield. So I have no doubt at all that there's something out there in the tri-state area just waiting to be found. Just please be sure to get permission if you're going to be searching on people's private property. You don't want to get yourself shot or beheaded and end up having a road named after you. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed this episode, and thank you for joining me. And until next time, take care.